So it's really a fascinating model. I've been working on NK related models in the last few years, and I didn't know this model. I pledged absolute ignorance, and it was a great discovery. So I thank the organizer of Tom, because at every time I come back home with something new and interesting that I would like to work on, and this model is really fascinating. It's been a discovery for me. I read carefully the original paper, the Christensen paper. Actually, you added much more during the presentation, which I didn't have the chance to read before. So basically, just to summarize for the NK, so you have population sitting on the corners of a hypercube, and these corners are interacting with each other through a random interaction matrix. Actually, I have some, but I might raise it as in the question time. I have some problems with the original formulation of the matrix, because apparently this matrix is linked to the value of each genome, of each gene in the genome. This technicality. So then, it's an extremely interesting model in itself. It's a very nice model which actually gives a clear representation of something. Some NK models have been already trying to approach in the usual, sometimes lousy way. Instead, myself actually have been trying to do something that in this model is done in a perfectly clean and proper and simple way. So extremely interesting. Now, I would like to try to raise some questions which are partly you already answered in your last slides that I didn't have the chance to see before. For instance, in fact, one of my questions was, what about putting an external fitness function? But you did it already, so but let me try to raise some question about the applicability of this kind of models to the type of question organization scholars and economists are thinking about. And here I see some problems. I see a series of problems. First of all, you said before, so species tend to different populations sitting on different corners of the hypercubes interact with each other. Actually, if I understand correctly, the interaction is they interact with every other species, regardless of the Hamming distance. Actually, in the original model, there is also sex, but it didn't present any sexual reproduction among the species. If species are not far away, can have sex. If they are far away, we cannot. Which could be also interesting. And instead, there is no interaction inside the population sitting on the corner. Now, in most of the economic application I can think of, I tend to think that it's the other way around. No? You can imagine a population sitting on the corner as the cars in your model before. And cars, of course, are competing with each other. No? Car sellers are strongly competing with each other. And they are sitting either in the same corner or in very close, in corners which are very nearby. Whereas typically you have very sparse and weak interaction with, everything is interacting with everything else, we know it, but you don't interact much with the producers of diamonds or whatever. So your hypothesis of having diffused interactions everywhere in the system might not apply entirely. Second, and the slides you showed before on the car manufacturing, which your model did not really fit particularly well. Instead, actually, we have a model which fits very well. It's the Vector life cycle model. There is a model, this designed by an industrial economist, Steve Krefer, who actually there are many different models in which they really explain, I think, in a reasonable, very reasonable way, this kind of pattern of sharp increasing variety at the beginning, then you have a stabilizer, and then you have the shake-out phase in which the variety gets reduced. And again, it's really a model in which the key point is interaction inside the same niche, actually, or in niches there is also a variant of the model, Krefer and Thompson, in which nearby niches are interacting. So there is already some very interesting literature in industrial economics we might want to link to this model. It could be extremely interesting. Second, again, I have some problems in thinking of reproduction as the key issue in economic and organizational models. No? I don't see a clear equivalent of reproduction, a clear equivalent of sex either. I don't see a clear equivalent of life, of generations. In fact, you are saying that many organizations are short-lived, but I come from Rome, where we have an organization which is has been for a very long time and still there. So, what is the life of an organization is not is something which is even hard to measure and to define. No? Whereas you know perfectly what the life of an animal and so on. Okay. Finally, question about modeling. Are you sure? I was thinking this model is much better, in my opinion, than an NKC model, on which I've been also trying to work on as well. But are you sure that you cannot boil it down to a standard NK model?
I think there's always some.
Yeah, I think there is a larger dimension. In fact, I was really thinking about it during because the NKC can be transformed into a larger NK. And I guess that also yours can be transformed into a higher dimensional standard NK model.
Maybe I can comment on that. Yeah, okay. No, I don't think. I think the NK model and the Stangeling model are quite different, both with respect to the phenomenology and also what is that drives them. Basically, the NK model, seen from the point of view of physicists, is just like a spin glass. So it is dominated by fitness or energy, and you have these. So you have what you have in this. That was also in a slide. That you have a population of almost identical individuals. They sit at the top of a local fitness maximum, and then you have mutants that sometimes manage to go through the valley, and then you get a higher peak, and then you transfer the population. That's the collective sort of mechanism in the model. So it's a record, what we call record dynamics. You just need to wait for a higher fitness peak, and then you go there. And that's what in my view, at least, this is what I see in the NK model. While the tangle age model is entropy driven. So basically, in a way, it is similar because you have this longer and longer period of quasi-equilibrium called QESSs. So that is the same thing in the model, but in the TNM, this longer and longer period come about because it's very hard, it gets harder and harder to get a destabilizer. So the mechanism is very, very different from the NK model.
This is the entropic hierarchy.
Yeah. It's an entropic hierarchy, while the NK model is, if you want, it's an energetic or fitness hierarchy. You're just going for a higher fitness. So in fact, if you look at a core in this model, you cannot meaningfully speak of its fitness. You can, of course, say, well, it has a reproduction rate, etc., so you can talk about Malthusian fitness. But the fitness of a core measured in terms of its stability depends on what it is around it. So basically, I think that Rudy said that so if you have a large cloud, you can coexist with, then you're going to live for a long time. So the way I see it, I don't think it's possible to make this mapping. Maybe I'm a bit pessimistic, I don't know, but I don't think so.
But even if it's possible at some formal level to make the
Yeah,
mapping,
some
it seems
formal
like
level,
what you're
yes.
saying, the underlying mechanisms are different, so they give rise to different insights. And,